after, I mean, granted, I've only been off for a day, 2 days, but you've been off since a week. But to be fair, like we did a lot of work that week prior, so it's like, you know, the break was well deserved. Just gonna let you know now, Marcus. I do intend, unless the world falls apart and the world professionaling. What the hell? What am I on? That was not a
That
word.
basically sums up the business right now, though, with everything that's happened.
Professionaling. Come Sunday, I would like to do another three-piece of our top 10 countdowns. Time, energy, and topics pending, obviously. We will be back Thursday for a double dose of Stargirl reviews on ComicCorp over at twitch.tv/ComicCorp. We're also going to be talking about, the most recent arc in Why the Last Man that we're reading. And we're also going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of Doom Patrol, hopefully. It'll be depending on how far Zach has gotten into that series, so we'll see. So we might just keep it to those 3 reviews because that's already a lot of stuff to go through. That's 5 episodes and 5 issues. So, we might not talk about anything else.
Exactly, and then for me and Chad, if we have a slow week in comics, me and Chad might actually get to, I guess, gush over that the finale for My Hero, or just talk all about season 4.
Oh God, yeah. We put that on the docket. Mark it down. So we're doing it's a thing. The 2 episodes of Stargirl that will have been out by then. All 3 episodes of Doom Patrol, or 4. No, we'll stick to 3 because they come out on Thursdays, don't they?
Yeah, so we probably gonna have to save My Hero for his own ep, because it's like I said, it's gonna be heavy. Because we probably gonna have a new ep of Doom Patrol by the time we get to the next show.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
yeah.
we're gonna cover episode 4 Doom Patrol on Thursday because it comes out Thursday morning, and with our schedules, I don't think we have enough turnaround time for that. So we'll stick to the first 3 for Thursday.
Yeah, first 3, catch up on Stargirl, obviously Why the Last Man, and I guess any other randomized news. But that for us, that usually covers the whole show because of the ways we cover it. So
Yeah. So let's do your idea and float My Hero to next week,
yeah,
and we'll do Doom Patrol, Stargirl, and My Hero next week while Zach is off. I'm your host, as always, by the way, Chad Portland. Joining me is the glorious one himself, Mock Screen Marcus. We are back. We are here. Things have gone sideways, but yet we are alive, and that is more than we can say about most people, like Mussolini and Napoleon. Those dudes are definitely fucking dead. But not Tupac. He's on an island in the Bahamas. Probably mostly dead, though. I feel like we're the Walking Dead. We're all just dead, and we don't know it yet. So, Marcus, we got hit with some big news over the weekend. Tessa Blanchard gone from Impact. And, frankly, I'm of the mindset of...
Yeah, man. Diamonds are not forever, apparently.
Well, we found out that Tessa's no diamond. She's cubic zirconian all the way through. So let's just kind of backtrack. Tessa had some really good matches in Impact and kind of got the torch passed to her by Gail Kim, a huge honor. And it was kind of made to, seem like Tessa's sticking around long term. Clearly, that's not the case. Tessa then, controversially wins the world title from Sami Callihan at the start of the year. Defends it once, I think, against Ace Austin. And then resided in Mexico for about 4.5 months and failed to comply with any requests to do any work of any kind, be it in location, on the road, or at home via her internet connection. Impact got fed up with this and basically said, "You done," and took the belt back from her because we saw it on the mantle in the Matthews Reigns household. By the by, they didn't address why they're in the same house together. Kayfabe. Come on, guys. Come on, Madison, Josh, come on. You guys are supposed to hate each other. I mean, maybe you do. You're married. I don't know. Impact basically told Tessa, "Hey, remember that song? These boots are made for walking. Put yours on because that's what you're doing." So we have no world champion in Impact, and we have another a la carte, world champion out the door. Austin Aries, Johnny Mundo, Brian Cage, fucking Eli Drake, AJ Styles. Like, hell, it seems like whenever a champion gets the belt, they only have it long enough to fucking piss off. I think if we're being fair, I think the going back to 2013, I would say Aldis, because he stuck around until about 2015, if I remember correctly, maybe 2016. And then he came back for a spell in 2017. So I would say Aldis falls into that, that camp of not being a out-the-door champion. Then you had Eric Young, who stuck around for another year or two, so I would consider him in that same vein, and Lashley and Edwards. But then, you had Austin Aries, Pentagon, essentially, was there for only like a brief minute, at least in the world title scene. He could have been a huge fucking star, but like, hey, let's put him in the tag team division. Because that's where the money is. And it kind of feels the same way with like guys like the North, not the North, LAX. They were there for 2.5, 3 years, and then they were gone. And they left, essentially the night they lost the titles. I think they were around for like maybe another week or two, but still. So this has been a reoccurring trend with Impact, and they need to not do that. And it very much seems like they give people title belts as an incentive to stay. And that's bad.
Yeah, which is eerily, I guess, similar but opposite to what they used to do with OWB Tanner, whereas they put the title on them as a bonus for coming in.
Or they even go even more ham hock, and they're like, "Hey Booker, you want a title? Sure, I'm gonna win the world title. No, you can just make one up. It's gonna be red. Oh God, why did we let him do this? And it's gonna be from Africa." The continent.
Say it, damn it. I was like, is it from Africa?
It is from Africa, my home country. I don't know why he sounds like this. In my home country of Africa. I'm like, Booker, man, come on. I want to believe that was part of the bit. Like, I want to believe that was part of the bit, right? But look who he's running with. Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner. When Scott Steiner looks like the valedictorian or the Kuma, what's the highest honors, Kuma Sun Laude, and yeah, Steiner's got that, and you're looking around and like, yeah, the barrel ain't that deep. So I don't know, man. Maybe Booker really thought Africa was a country, man. I hope to God I can find that segment, because that's like one of my favorite fucking moments ever. That and Kevin Nash big booting a little person in a chair.
I was
fucking
like,
hilarious.
Know what? Like I thought the embarrassing stuff was my favorite Booker moment, but he redeemed it when I saw that clip of him commentating himself into a match. Oh God!
Hang on, Kev. Hang on. I gotta handle this. Scott Steiner doing seriously, that entire Main Event Mafia episode where they just took over the show is like, mwah. It's perfect. Because it's outlandish, and it really made you think that anything could happen on Impact. Speaking of anything can happen, Tessa's gone, and we apparently no one wants to touch her, except for Daga.
Yeah. God bless him.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because I was on a big proponent of being, riding that Tessa train. Just because, that she just so many intangibles. The talent is undeniable. I guess, pun intended on that particular point. But, yeah, after that, Tessa first dropped, which, it feels like she's even more untouchable now, mostly because of everything that's going on right now. And her bit of business dropped long before this kind of came out. Well, not too long before, but ahead of all this stuff coming out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the bout of potential, racist rhetoric on top of being potentially, just all around, I guess, the word you used earlier, cunt.
We're
I mean,
British,
I mean,
guys.
people,
It's okay. We're allowed to
yeah.
use that word. We're British.
I mean, at this point, people trying to read out all pervs and a-holes, and the talent factor is kind of it's whatever, because there's most people that's probably more talented than the people we see on a regular basis that we haven't heard of yet because of for whatever reason. So I mean, I've really cooled off on her. Like at this point, I didn't think I'd get here, but it's like I just probably just juice ain't worth the squeeze at this point. I mean, if you made such a damn big deal, and I told you this, however many shows back, like for as big of a deal as she made about the women and making moves and all these intergender matches and getting that title and what it meant and what she would do with it, she's not gonna get that opportunity ever again.
No.
That's done. That little narrative that she's on, that's done. So, and with the companies that she got the option to go to, that intergender stuff, at most in WWE is going to be the mixed match challenge. At AEW, it'll be a mixed match tag, which I don't think we've seen yet, to my recollection. But yeah, I just like I said, if you the head of you the leader. You setting the tone with that title. You the headpiece. You the emblem on the bins, and you can't even so much as send some damn videos of you talking crap or acknowledging stuff that's on TV. Like that just seems ridiculous to me. I understand wanting to get paid or however situations are set up with a contract, and she felt like she wanted a bit of income, but it's like I don't know what else you think you're supposed to do as champion. You can't just sit home. You kind of have the point of the damn show, and you don't want to participate. Like that's wild to me.
We quote this movie all the time because it's so goddamn poignant. Remember the Titans? You the leader? I am. You've been doing your job? I've been doing my job. Well, it's fair to say that Tessa wasn't doing her job. Now, let's clear some things up because there's a misconception here. At no point was any wrestler prohibited from traveling from their country of origin into the United States to work. So the whole Tessa was in Mexico, she couldn't have come. That's bullshit. It's never been that way. You were always allowed to travel as long as it was for work. Now, at the start of the pandemic, most people weren't working, so most people thought that you couldn't travel. That's just not true. So we gave her a leeway. We gave her a break in April or March or whenever they shot their next set of shows. Because you and I, especially now considering it's still just so terrible, understood that you're risking your long-term viability as an athlete if you get COVID-19. It does damage your lungs severely. This is not a joke. If you're asymptomatic, that's great. You'll be fine. Just wear a mask and don't fuck up. Don't be low-key going around telling people, just tell people you have a respiratory problem. Low-key, shut the fuck up, you bald little midget. Apologies to people who are offended at the word midget. That's a sincere apology, by the way. Loki just pisses me off. And I like the dude. He's such a fucking talent, man. He's such a fucking talent. But he's also so fucking stupid. But, like, we just wear a mask, and if you're asymptomatic, you're fine. Just wear a mask and you're good. Self-quarantine and you're good. But if you actually develop symptoms, like, that shit will hurt your lungs. Like, there are, I read an article back in May, late April, early May about, like, a triathlete who was like, I bike, swim, and run like 40, 50 miles a day or some bullshit for like the Ironman races. And now they're telling me I may not be able to jog for the next 2 years because of the damage this thing's done to me. So the realities are real. Like this is not a joke. So we understood. All right. Half the fucking roster didn't show up. No one's wanting to play stupid games because no one wants to win stupid prizes. Fair enough. Second set of tapings roll around. Eddie and Alicia Edwards, who maybe have the most poignant reason to not be there. They recently adopted a little girl. We're like, we're going to work. We're not going to, look for excuses not to. And they were there. Taya, who was in California, one of the worst places hit by this thing, was there. But Tessa's still just like, I guess I'm not going to Atlanta. And then all of a sudden, we roll around to the most recent set of tapings from Nashville. And it's like, oh, she's still not there. Well, why isn't she there? Well, she's stuck in Mexico. No one's stuck in Mexico. I mean, there are people stuck in Mexico. Don't get me wrong. But she's not one of those people. So she opted not to go twice. She opted not to do any type of promo work. She did one. We got one from her. And let's be honest about this. This isn't the first time Impact has had to do a show like this for a reason or two. Do you remember when Matt Hardy had to relinquish the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in his living room because they could only afford to shoot 2 days worth of tapings? And they bulked like 40 fucking matches on those 2 days?
Cue the World Title Series.
Oh, and what a terrible fucking concept that was. I might go back and rewatch it just to see if it was as bad as I remember. But like, I was like, there's like nothing in these episodes besides just raw. Oh look, it's Sam Shaw versus Tigre Uno. Oh, I'm so excited for this one, guys.
We about to take this backlog of one night onlys we didn't have no business doing in the first place and make it work.
If we put a color gradient over the video, they might think that we didn't shoot this 2 years ago. Oh, God.
This was still during the days of Tigre Uno.
He came in with the name of Extreme Tiger, and they're like, that's not extreme enough. We're going to call him Tiger 1. What? His name was Extreme Tigre. The dude was a hardcore luchador. How could you fuck that up anyway? So, we've gotten world champions on location before. So I don't know what the problem was, other than Tessa, my theory. And I tweeted this out like 4 hours before the news broke. My idea, my theory was that Tessa was holding the company up for a bigger payout. This is exactly what she was doing. She did not want to lose the belt. She refused, apparently. That's the word going around the interweaves, is that she refused to drop the belt. Not just show up to work, not just agree to a contract. She did not want to be pinned. She did not want to lose the belt.
Oh, yeah, because the contract was coming. Yet another stupid decision by Impact. Why would you put, knowing that this could possibly potentially happen, mere months into her reign? That just immediately takes me back to that time Rude almost didn't make a show because they let his contract lapse. Jesus. Who was looking at this paperwork?
Bruce Pritchard. And the funniest part was Rude was a world tag team champion at the time in a very, very awesome tag team with Austin Aries. Oh, God. That was so lame. So, and you're right. Like, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic in February, right? Like we knew there was some problems. Like, we should probably get ready.
Yeah.
But, like, we were all pretty optimistic that shit wasn't coming across the Pacific. And then it came across the Pacific. And then we were all standing there on the fucking shoreline going, well, we fucked that idea up. But since then, we have settled into what I like to call wartime mode. We are combating this thing at every corridor. At least those of us not drunk and redneck enough to realize that this is still a problem. What do you mean I have to give up my freedom? So, you knew who she was, though. Like, let's be honest. Marcus, you're 100% right. You knew who she was when you made this decision. Shit, you knew who she was the day before you put it on her. Like, there's no... Like, this was their attempt to get over with the progressives by saying, hey, look, we have a woman, a lady world champion. How progressive are we? We're like Chikara. And they've been around for 20 years. We'll never fuck up. Uh-oh. So it was a bad idea in the first part. I was of the mindset that I didn't want intergender wrestling. I don't like the idea of women and men competing in combat sports. If you put Ronda Rousey against Brock Lesnar, I don't care how much, shit she would talk or fucking, what's her name? Amanda Nunes against fucking Cain Velasquez. I don't care how good she thinks she is. The minute Cardio Kane shoots at her, and takes her down, double leg, it's fucking over. He's just going to pound her into oblivion. And that's very much how I feel about pro wrestling. I think pro wrestling works best when you do put elements of realism in there. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like a lot of like cruiserweight, heavyweight matches, because it's just like, all right, if the dude just fucking grounded him, like it'd be fucking over. Like if Scott Steiner really fought Rey Mysterio Jr. in 1999, 1998 WCW, we'd be talking about that one time Scott Steiner made a stain of Rey Mysterio in the middle of a mat. There wouldn't be any of this, whoa, yeah, he's a giant killer bullshit. No, he'd just be Rey Mysterio mess in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, and specifically when it's somebody who is, executing a lucha style, if you know the ins and outs with certain things, or you just pay very close attention, clearly things are being allowed to happen from an offensive perspective. And we all know it's a dance regardless, but like clearly, okay, oh my God, he has my arm and he's taking me around. Oh, what is he gonna do in the air? Oh, he's coming down on me. Oh, I tumbled with him. Like it comes off very. We know how these moves have to be executed, but it becomes awkward seeing somebody try somebody trying to do like that top rope arm drag on Brock. Like if Brock just don't take you and push you into the audience,
right? Like Rey Mysterio is not going to hit a Hurricane Rana on the Undertaker. Like, how high are you to think that was going to work? Now, to a lot of the credit in these specific instances, whenever those opportunities were tried, that's literally like I can name at least 3 occasions where someone tried a Hurricane Rana Brock, and Brock just like, what are you doing? Picked him up and power bombed him. Like, all right, yeah, I believe that. That's 100% exactly what I think would have happened in that situation in reality. But when you look at Tessa, it's like, all right, with Sammy, it kind of made sense. They're literally the same height. They're like 5'5". Sammy is about as athletic as, Alicia Edwards, which is to say not very. So, like, that made sense because Sammy's not exactly someone that you would scream genuine heavyweight contender. But, what, she was going to face Moose or Brian Cage or Elgin?
Yeah, I think didn't she beat Cage?
She might have. I think she beat him in 2019 in like a roll up or some shit like that.
Yeah, I remember a roll up specifically. Like I said, I wonder too if she's kind of really pissed because again, what ended up happening because it became even more of a point for her to prove and kind of shut people up on the whole thing because one, nobody was really amped about her besides like you said these extreme progressives about her being champion. A lot of people called it just like an idiotic decision. But then this was also everybody was like, y'all gonna put the damn belt on her after all that crap comes out. So
Now,
it became even more point for the proof of stuff, and that didn't happen. So I wonder in a way she kind of took that out on the company, like I didn't get my way, so y'all ain't gonna get y'all way.
I mean, she does seem to be a child, so that's extremely possible. I do want to put that racist context into context. We don't actually know what was said. The whole story came from Allison Kay, who said that Tessa allegedly used a racial epithet in Japan against an athlete who I think is Caribbean, if I remember correctly. Is that am I right about that? Like she's like Dominican, I think. I had never heard of her before this moment, like before this whole accusation happened. But apparently it was Tessa, the young Dominican or Cuban, I forget what she is, wrestler, and then 2 Japanese wrestlers. They were apparently in a locker room. This allegedly happened. Tessa denied it ever happened. The woman said it did happen, but everything else we got from that point on was hearsay. And I just want to put that in proper context. Not to say that I don't believe Tessa said it, because I 100% believe Tessa could have said it. Her character's widely known. Like, if you say that I said it, I'd be like, really? Like, listen, I'll call you a dago, but, like, really? Come on. But, like, with Tessa, her attitude, her demeanor, her the way she carries herself, oh, yeah, you could tell. Oh, yeah. It's not a far jump. This is Frogger. It's pretty easy to get from that pad to that pad. It's not hard at all. It's like, saying Matt Riddle is someone who abuses people, really. The narcissist who goes around talking shit about everyone he doesn't like because he actually thinks he is better than them, not just as a wrestler, as an athlete, but as a person who actually has an ego complex. You're saying he gets aggressive when someone tells him no? What?
Yeah, I mean, the Tessa diehards that's listening, it's 100% believable that she could be, and probably maybe has amended or honed some of those more negative personality traits that have held her back. But you got to look at it, man. Like some of that stuff is just who the person kind of is. I mean, because I know I think she said that she was heartbroken when she didn't get signed by WWE, and she is a completely different performer, both aesthetically and from a skill perspective from when we saw in the Mae Young Classic. But and I heard somebody else talk about this. There's a reason they didn't sign her.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard those rumors about her having an attitude and stuff of that nature. And when that stuff came out about her being less than pleasant to work with, that was from, I mean, obviously Allison Kay kind of kicked it off, but that came from women from all over the industry.
Oh yeah, they came for her. They came for her like a group of picnickers at a hot dog cook-off. They came for her.
And this didn't really feel like, I mean, we've seen it before, like, the pylon mentality, but this didn't come off like that. Oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, they finna crap on this chick. Like, no, this is because we're in the time of the very much women coming together and supporting each other, specifically in the industry that's predominantly run by men, yada yada yada. But this was like, nah, like I know the talented, yay, all that good stuff, but she's a bitch. Like that's just really what I'm saying. Like, so, when you pile that on, and then with the time we living in now, you kicked it off saying nobody want to touch her. It's like, look, man, it's a lot of uber talented people. Like how many people we talked about on these last few shows talking about this speaking out thing, super talented people, but they, from a moral and character standpoint, they're not worth a damn. And at this point, with the PR thing, is it really worth it to put somebody even as talented as a Tessa in the locker room and piss off a locker room full of women who are very much about the supporting type of deal? So,
Well,
I
supporting as long as they don't have to support anyone who works for the WWE. That's important because those women, while they came out in droves and like we support all of you. Really, what about the ones in your own company that are dealing with harassment on a daily basis? We don't know what you're talking about. So you're right about Tessa, and you're right about the fact that people hate her, and it's kind of like that idea of like when Bayley and Sasha were being kind of mocked for quote unquote allegedly kicking and screaming, outside of their hotel room after WrestleMania. Everyone's like, "Hey, you don't get to say that about her." Like what the hell, man? Or like when Maria got re-signed, and they're like, "No, you don't get to, disrespect Maria." And then when Tessa did her thing, they're like, "Oh no, fuck Tessa, she's garbage." It's like, oh, okay. I know how this is. So, as far as Untouchable, MLW's women's division has yet to really take shape, despite the fact that they said they were going to have one, and yet here we are. Much like MLW, Ring of Honor is still on hiatus, so their women's division is null and void. Impact obviously is out. I doubt there's going to be any Japanese promotions that want to work with her, and as of right now, they're not interested in flying in Americans at the moment, mostly because we've done such a shit job containing this fucking virus. Just fucking hell, man. And then, of course, you have AEW and WWE. Now, AEW is not going to sign her, and I think they wanted to. But I think they kind of put their foot in their own ass when Tony Khan's like, Linda, Hogan, you're never invited to an AEW show because you're a racist. And I could just see Cody standing behind him with his arms out with the what the fuck face on his head like, and Tessa was about to be a free agent. And Tony probably went, oh, shit, now we can't sign her. Because I 100% believe wholeheartedly that company doesn't have any fucking morals. If Jimmy Havoc tomorrow went on a anti-black, anti-Muslim, anti-white, anti-everything rant, they'd be like, we are sending Jimmy Havoc to the rehab, and we will reassess him when he gets back. Really? Hey, Justin Roberts apparently showed asked a 17-year-old for nudes. Haven't even said anything about that. Whatever. That's cool. I guess we're just going to live in this place where AEW is still going to have this varnish of being a, holier-than-thou organization, because they're not. So, yeah, I 100% believe that they would have signed Tessa if it wasn't for Tony Khan's big mouth. And apparently the WWE is interested in her. Excuse me. But to what end, I don't know. If I'm, whoever, I don't know who handles the contracts in that company anymore. If I'm Triple H, I go, well, what were you making an Impact? 90,000? We'll give you 9. 9,000? No, just $9. Because who the fuck else is gonna hire you, lady? I would lowball the shit out of her.
Obviously they're never gonna take Charlotte off the wheel, but apparently she's gonna be off TV sometime for injury. So I hope she gets better. But if anybody deserves to be off, that needs to be off TV, is her. You got Sasha Banks finally getting time. Bayley has tried her earnest to coming on with that heel character, which was far more than what she was doing as a face, and actually it's been more enjoyable because she's getting the kind of freestyle. You got those two. You're not. I don't know what the freak is going on with Bianca Belair, but you also have Asuka, Io Shirai, and why is she slipping? Right now, the freaking the last NXT Women's Champion. Why is she not thinking?
Io Shirai, Kairi Sane.
No, the blonde with the leather. This is my brutality.
I want to call her Sonya Deville, but I know that's not right. Tegan Knox, that ain't right. she's the tall chick with the pants. And she has the hair.
There it is, Rhea Ripley. You already got somebody with that type of attitude. You got Rhea Ripley, Mia Yim, and Bianca got enough attitude to make a couple Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Outside the fact of the company's fetish for generational superstars and probably wanting a hot shot, a freaking Mania match or whatever, they probably wouldn't even let it get to Mania. A match between two Horseman daughters. You really want to stir the pot with potentially bringing her in. You have more than enough talented women to do something with. You just have to do something with them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually even need Tessa. Of course, then again, you didn't need half the people you signed, and that was evident because you fucking dropped half of them, if not most of them. So,
that's going to be interesting to see what they do with Tessa and Charlotte. But here's the thing, folks, and gotta be honest, we're going to get that match eventually, assuming she does sign there. It's not going to live up to the expectations or the hype, because you got to remember, just because they got all the talent in the world coming in doesn't mean they have an artist capable of putting it together like a Bob Rossian painting. And until that day comes, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that every hope and dream you ever have is going to kind of fizzle out like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker at, any of the last, 30 fucking matches they had. Just how it is.
Remember the anticipation you had for the Goldberg Taker match, folks.
I remember the anticipation you had for everything they've done over the last 15 years. Speaking of anticipation, we may finally have our first answers as to who's coming in to Impact, that is. Apparently, Dave Meltzer, I think John Pollock, and 70,000 other people are like, yeah, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows definitely signed contracts. And I'm sitting here going, We've been talking about that for 4 fucking months. Not literally 4 fucking months, but at least 9 weeks. I was like, yeah, they're definitely going to Impact as soon as they got let go. Y'all need to pay more attention to our shows. We're pretty fucking good at this. I'm just letting you know. So this is the least surprising thing, because where else are they gonna go? AEW has a terrible relationship with New Japan. and they want to work in New Japan, but they also want to work in the States still. So what's to do? Now, they could have gone to MLW, but MLW, with all due respect to MLW, doesn't have the same kind of financial backing as Impact. One of the biggest criticisms against MLW is their contracts aren't as great as they could be, or as some people feel they should have. They're not going to go to Ring of Honor. I mean, they're not even running at the moment. So, hey, and even if they did, why would you want to? Ring of Honor has fallen face first after Cody left. Go figure, Cody was keeping that brand afloat. He's also keeping that brandy afloat. It's looking like Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock might be World Tag Team Champions after Slammiversary. Personally, I wouldn't mind if the North went for another year as champions. I think that would be baller. So, Marcus, with the news that Anderson and Gallows are allegedly coming into Impact, both have already had stints there. Anderson was there for a one-night only taping event, and Doc was a member of the Aces and Eights when he was Doc Gallows, not just Luke Gallows, or Doc Luke Gallows. Doc Luke Gallows. One of those is right. So how do you feel about this? Apparently, we momentarily lost Marcus. I, for one, I'm a big proponent of that coming in. They're bald, they're bad, and they got beards. I think anything else you need at that point is kind of just out the window. Marcus, would you agree? Still no Marcus.
I'm back. What we
okay.
To my Ewok?
No, we're talking. Well, we'll get to him. We're on Anderson and Gallows coming into Impact. How's your feels about them joining the fray?
I dig it. I like it. I mean, it's funny because talking about before they actually dropped into the world of Vinny Land, if you will. They were apparently set. Them and I guess Styles had potentially something on the table with Impact, and that didn't go through because obviously everybody looks at, Stanford as the bigger, better deal until they, get stuck in Caden for however long. Realize they've been stifled creatively. So, I think it's cool. I think it's be refreshing. Now, hopefully, we get to see stuff from them like we got from LAX. Because it's, like you said, they wasn't there that long, but they packed a lot of stuff in those 3 years, man. Like, they got it in.
Yeah.
So, by the time they left, I felt like they did everything that you could and should do. I mean, they literally almost died trying to, put that, those tag straps at the precipice of greatness, a la like, the Wolves and mostly Machine Guns and, Big Money of the past. So, I think it'd be cool. I mean, obviously, it won't be anything new for Nux. So.
Oh, no. Nux is Mike Knox, not Doc.
Hell, same guy. Whatever. They're bald, they're big.
Big, white, bald, beard dude Marcus for the last fucking time. Not all white people look the same.
Oh, both of them ass things back. Screw it. That's the narrative. But, yeah. I think it should work. I mean, to see them two clash with the North, I think that'll be hot.
I would 100% be down for it. Speaking of which, Eric Young has been hinted at heavily that he's returning to the company, and to which I say, dodoy. Eric Young is one of those situations where I don't think anyone is going to offer him what Impact is offering him. Partly because Scott D'Amore and Eric Young do have a bond. Personally, I don't, of all the names, Heath Slater being one of them, I see Eric Young as the least one I want to see. He's not exactly someone that I was ever a big fan of. Like, his Don't Fire Eric shtick was great. But I don't know what they intend on using him as. Because if you're trying to bring him in as super serious, anarchy, Eric Young, yar, pass. I would much rather see the belt go on Ken Shamrock than I would ever again want to see Eric Young in the main event of an Impact show. But if you're going to do the whole Ham Hock, Eric Young, live-action Looney Tunes character, okay. I'd be down for that. I think I could stomach that. What about you?
Yeah, look, Eric Young, I was never like a big fan, although I did kind of get behind his world title run just because it was just one of the, even if it wasn't the right decision, it really did feel like a feel good story. Just because of everything he had, he's been there for a long time, and I'd always appreciated his commitment to do any and everything within that company, a lot, kind of like Abyss did, and he obviously 100% committed to any and all storylines he was involved in. The Super EY stuff, the Team Canada stuff was kind of before my time, but the Super EY stuff, obviously the regular EY stuff, and then the stuff with ODB was some good stuff.
Eric Young,
But yeah,
Ralph Macchio. That's the money.
yeah, with the WWE, I didn't know how that was gonna work, and then they did the Sanity thing, and I thought that was clicking. The way they had that chemistry set up, and then obviously that devolved ultimately into nothing. Um,
Would you say, Marcus, it faded away into nothing?
Bam, that pretty much sums that up. And then he freaking chopped his hair and got some gaudy tattoos, and literally just he literally started looking like a jobber. Um, so I don't know what he's coming back to do. Um, and Impact, it could be something new and fascinating, but ah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I is kind of on the fence with this one because it's like, is he gonna jump back into something that we're familiar with him? Because it's gonna take, I don't know how long to grow that beard he had. Like he had that Family Guy beard that Peter had with the birds.
If he comes out to
So,
bird is the word, I'll lose it.
but yeah, that the gone is that happy-go-lucky EY that was just, any man with two hands got a fighting chance type of deal. Shout out to the no chinny Ellsworth on that one. But yeah, I don't.
Jay, he's a no-chinian.
No chinny. Yeah, I'm just kind of particular on the fence because I don't know what he's gonna do. Crazy Steve could come back and kind of do his thing because we still got stuff like Rosemary and Sue Young, but EY, I don't know where he kind of fits right now. Like him coming out and trying to punk Moose, no, that's not gonna work.
Well, it looks like Slammiversary is going to be Tommy Dreamer versus Moose. I'm all right with that. That'll be
I
interesting,
mean,
especially
that
if the TNA World Title actually gets defended.
that make oh yeah, one that makes sense because Dreamer is always trying to put somebody in their place who's acting a little too arrogant. And like you said, the TNA World Title, which again, a damn defunct title, has been not only presented more, but defended more. The defunct World Championship has been in better placement as a legitimate gimmick than the real World Title, which, again, that rabbit hole is just absurd. But it's kind of where we're at. So that makes sense. I think we got three other matches. Deanna, who I gotta watch the episode, but I heard, obviously she's been making hella good statements against Jordan Grace, so that should be fun. Chris Bay, who nice to see him back with a regular lip against the Mac, and we got a tag team title match, correct? So
Yes. Yeah, so the matches for Slammiversary, and we'll segue right into that now, is Deanna versus Jordan for the Knockouts title, the North versus Shamrock and Callahan for the tag team titles. Moose versus Dreamer hasn't been formally announced, but they just set up the angle on this week's edition of Impact, so maybe. We also got Bay versus Mac for the X Division title. And I want to say, the main event now is Eddie Edwards, Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, and a mystery opponent for the World Heavyweight title. I think that's all we know for sure. It does seem like they're setting up a tag team thing for the women because Taya and Rosemary officially became a tag team today on this week's edition. And Havoc and Neva, whatever her name is, they're a tag team. And then you have, of course, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steeles. They're a tag team. So they are setting up some type of tag team division in Impact for the women, which I think is long overdue. As far as what else is on the card, I don't know, or at least I don't remember. So it's looking, all things considered, because you're going into the show without, Joey Ryan's angle, because they were going to do something with him and Jake Christ and Rob Van Dam, I'm sure. They're going in there without Michael Elgin and Tessa Blanchard in the main event. And who was the other jackknife that got fired? Joey Ryan. It was Elgin.
Ryan, Elgin, and also they outright fired Tessa. But
Yeah.
What else? Was there any other?
Dave Christ. Dave Christ.
Yeah, the Chris, Ryan, Elgin. I mean, other side of Chris, because I had no idea about that. Elgin and Ryan. I mean, specifically, Ryan was a bad signing anyway.
Yeah, we weren't fans of that.
Yeah, that just came back to bite him in the ass. But yeah, I mean, you take those out. I mean, that's just gonna give more. Like I said, and I texted you this. What was going on? Like, these freaking new additions are basically gonna end up as replacements now.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing is kind of gotten shifted. I wonder if they could slip Swinger in there. Then again, I mean, at this point, he can damn near be Matt Reigns' tag team partner for the women's division.
Well, they kind of hinted at a Johnny Bravo, Johnny Swinger thing on Madison Reigns' in-show promo this week. If they tag or feud, that'd be hilarious. Because they're basically the opposite ends of the spectrum of that character anyway. So that would be great. So we also know that D'Lo Brown is getting the Ace and Eights back together. Okay.
What?
Okay. At the end of last week's show, because Impact's doing show-ending teasers now, right? And I love it. At the end of last week's show, Reno Scum earlier in the show had kind of made fun of D'Lo. They're like, "Oh, he's probably grading papers." So apparently D'Lo's also a teacher now, I guess. And at the end of the show, D'Lo's still kind of upset that Reno Scum was poking on him. And D'Lo was on the phone with somebody, and he's like, "Yeah, I think it's time we get the band back together." And then D'Lo Brown got up from his chair, and the Aces and Eights vest was behind him. And then they played the din, 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 din. Now, the funny thing is, yeah, Luke Gallows was part of the Aces and Eights, but so is Mr. Anderson. And Mr. Anderson, not Carl Anderson, but Ken Anderson. Mr. Anderson's also a free agent now because he left the NWA, I think, at the end of last year. So it's entirely possible we get a few names coming back to the company, which, if you get Mr. Anderson back, Eric Young back, if you bring in Heath Slater and the club, while none of those are home runs, I think that's a great kind of, player for player trade. Like if Tessa going to the WWE is a trade, getting back Mr. Anderson, the club, Eric Young, and Heath Slater, because Heath Slater is apparently hinting at debuting at Slammiversary as well, then that's a decent return, because you're talking about depth at that point. The thing that also I want to point out that I think people should be optimistic about, Impact's Twitch views have been steadily going up for the last 6 weeks. It was not uncommon for them to be around the 1,300 mark on on Twitch. But between Ethan Page's stream and Twitch's, like their own Twitch channel, like they're well up there nowadays. Still a far cry from the 1.7 million viewers on Spike TV, but they're doing pretty decent numbers on Access TV. At least that's what the rumor says, and their Twitch numbers are improving. There is genuine hype building for Slammiversary 2020, so it's looking like it could be a good show. Also, just kind of a quick passing note, because I do want to acknowledge it, even though I don't have much to say about it. Chris Levin is still talking about how he once had to go to an arbiter and talk to them about something that happened within the company, and he's kind of he's being kind of a giant man baby. And here's why I say that: it's one thing to be a whistleblower. I don't have an issue with that. It's another thing to know that you're not going to say anything worth saying and attempt to drag a company down just because you're angry about it. He's talking about things without talking about it. And I think that's such a cowardly thing to do, because these instances could be very nominal or they could be wholly outrageous. But until you actually speak of it and put context to what you're saying, all you're doing is fueling rumors and speculation, and that's a real fucking jerk thing to do. And he's getting properly dragged about it on Twitter because they're like, well, why are you even bringing this up now? Why are you trying to make your little I had to go to HR story even a part of the speaking out movement? And, it was one of those things where I think if he had been more honest and spoke more openly about what was going on instead of being vague about it, I think he wouldn't have had the same kind of backlash. And also, kind of just point of emphasis, two of his best friends, kind of not great people. They one of them has already been, or this was a while ago, got arrested for something to do with underage sexual activity, and his other former best friend was the ring announcer for MLW, and he got fired for having an inappropriate relationship with a minor through social media. So I'm just saying, Chris, if you want to start throwing bricks at glass houses, maybe don't live in one. I don't know. I don't think he's a bad dude. I think he's angry. I think he's hurt, and I think he's trying to kind of get a piece of his soul back. But I don't think this is the way to go about it, kid.
And this was what, a referee or something with the company?
Yeah, he was Kid Ref, as he was affectionately called. He's ran with some pretty not so great people, and he's trying to hold Impact to. Now, granted, he might be right about Impact. I don't know because he's not saying anything. He's like the big thing today was like he doubts that Impact's third-party arbitration or third-party independent reviews of Joey Ryan, Micah Elgin, Dave Christ were actually handled by a third party. Like, that was his whole big shtick today, and Wrestling Inc. ran that story. And like, it's not like a big damning fucking story, but when you leave it so kind of out there and like hanging in the wind, it leads people to really kind of run wild with what it could be.
He don't think it was handled by a third party.
He hasn't been with the company for 7 months. And he wants to talk on what's happening today, even though he's not a very well-liked guy. I shouldn't say well-liked. He doesn't have a lot of close friends in the locker room from all counts. And I don't know if he's kind of angling to kind of do a shoot interview of some kind, or if he's really just trying to tear the company down, or if he's finally getting his 15 seconds of fame. But like, a lot of his interview was like he was emotionally upset with how they treated him. Like, they made me feel replaceable as just a ref. And I'm kind of sitting there going, yeah, none, no one, nunca, niet. No one buys a ticket to see the ref.
Saw Aubrey Edwards on AEW, and this guy thought he got in his feelings. Like, they're going to make me special, too.
I mean, you might be onto something. I don't know. I don't know if that's some jealousy. But, like, apparently he was upset with how he was treated, and, he's making this a very personal vendetta.
I mean, look, look, we can't, like you said, we can't speak to his experience.
Right.
People might have said stuff, did stuff to him, did some, like, unnecessary ribbing. But I've, aside from Bravo, I've seen, a lot of those refs basically be interchangeable for whatever they needed because, obviously they, been a long time since they've been from Orlando, but between, I guess basically relocating, from like Canada to Nashville, however they've done, they cycle through a lot of referees, and it's, I would imagine a lot of cases, depending on what they need, is kind of a first come, first serve basis. Whoever answers the call and gives us a yes, so I don't know what his mind state is in terms of like wanting to feel like, he's one of their one and onlys, but referees, they just need somebody who's competent enough to get the job done. This isn't like we need an Eli Drake type of referee. And not to pour the spotlight on referees because they are a vital part of, what makes everything go. But if he's like thinking he's more important than he is, and then, trying to call the company out on some, hold it up to a standard they don't necessarily have to meet because he's in his feelings, that's not the way to go.
And that does how it feels like he's coming across. That may not be how he's actually feeling, And like he may be sitting on like, oh, Scott D'Amore once buried a hooker backstage. And I mean like underground. Like that might be the shit he's sitting on, right? But the things he's talking about is like, oh, well, they didn't make me feel very appreciated. And, you know, they had me go talk to an arbiter. And turns out the arbiter used to work for somebody at Anthem 6 years ago. It's like, how is this a bombshell? Like, you're talking about someone's fucking LinkedIn history. Like, come on, kid.
Nobody told me where Crafty was. What type of shit is that?
Right? And now, here's the thing. Way back when I started this journey of being a journalist, I was working for a website. Mark, if you tell me you've heard it, I'm gonna be like, wait, what? It was called Force of Wrestling, and we were actually getting some traction in 2009. I was doing 80% of the writing for the site, and I was doing 100% of the podcast for the site. Go fucking figure. Hey, look, it's the same fucking thing 11 years later. Y'all need to pick your fucking weight up and stop letting me drag you. Come on. Fucking more things change, the more they stay the same. But jokes aside, I was doing everything for them. I made some choice comments on one of our recordings. This is before everyone was doing podcasts, so there was like 9 podcasts at the time covering wrestling. We were one of them, and I made some choice comments about how I was really kind of pissed off that one of the guests we were supposed to have on just stood us up, and I lit into it. I ripped them into new pieces. I went a little too far because the very next day I got fired. I was like, oh boy, I went over the line. But I spent like the next 2 months like super fucking in my feelings. And I made situations that didn't really need to be perceived one way be perceived one way. But as I got away from it, I was like, oh no, I needed to be fired. I was totally unprofessional. That was big dumb move from Chad. And from then on, I've made it my business to make big dumb decisions like that on a constant basis. We're never going to interview Seth Rollins again, I can promise you that. We did interview him once. Way back in the day. That was before we knew he was a Nazi fucker. But I can empathize with Kid Ref, Chris Levin, because that's how I used to feel about the guys I used to work for. But I also know that when your kind of points of contention are, well, they didn't get back to me fast enough, and I knew they were going to start using more local refs, and I saw the writing on the wall. I just thought it was petty. Like, when those are your kind of statements, like, you're not dropping any bombshells. Now, he did allude to some type of harassment going on with certain guys in the locker room, or certain executives, I think he said, but he didn't go into any details there. I think it has something to do with Scarlett Bordeaux and Killer Cross's contract situations. I don't know, however. There was a reason why Cross was eventually let go from his deal and why Scarlett was gone from her deals as quickly as they were. So I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with that. But until Chris Levin actually gets the balls to speak on this, we might never know. And the thing that really irks me is, Marcus, if you tell me, like, man, when I was 5, a dog pimp slapped me once, and I was like, man, now I'm never going to have a dog. And you tell me not to talk about it, I'm not going to be like, dude, you'll never know. You'll never guess about this story about Marcus and a dog. Well, what happened? Well, it's not my story to tell. But you'd never know about this story about Marcus and a dog. Well, what happened? I can't tell you. Not my story. Like, that's a dick move, right?
Annoying.
So if you have, pertinent details about a situation that you cannot or will not speak on, don't bring it up at all.
Here we go. This is gonna make you laugh. You know what this reminds me of, right?
Oh, dude, no, but I cannot wait because I like laughing.
Does anybody know the whereabouts of that guy who had all that, those pipe bombs on Roman Reigns?
Oh yeah, the steroid guy. He was in jail, and a guy knew a guy who knew a guy who knew Roman and steroids and Mark Wahlberg. I do remember that.
Where's that guy?
I feel like we're Peabody and Mr. Peabody and Herman, and we just went in the way back machine. Oh, God, that's funny as hell. So, moving on, speaking of playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes, the WWE is now they're the number one American pro wrestling company. They're the number one in the world. More attendance figures, more money than God. Yada yada. They got another new moniker: the most positive COVID-19 tests in wrestling. And it's not just positive tests, because like I could have the COVID. I don't know. Because it's called asymptomatic, which means you are not exhibiting any symptoms, which means you are not being affected. So who knows who has it? Cody could have it. Granted, Cody has a lot of things going on in his head right now. None of them are any good because he's not a good leader. Cody, what are you doing? But one of the things we do know is that a whole slew of WWE personalities do have it. Kayla Braxton has it for the second time. That poor woman. Someone in 7 to 14 days, give her a hug, or don't. That girl does not need it a third time. Give her a cyber hug or an air 5 from about 12 to 48 feet away. Air 5, Marcus. Yeah. Adam Pearce, former guest of the show. He has it. That one hurt. Personally, I love Adam Pearce. I think he's one of the nicest, most down-to-earth, most respectful human beings I've ever had the privilege of talking to. And then, of course, Renee Young has it. And apparently John Moxley has kind of scrolled his way into a corner of the opposite side of the house going, you okay, Renee? Yeah, okay. I'll throw you some soup for dinner. So, it's a big deal. And apparently the WWE is not happy about people talking about it. And I'm just kind of sitting here going, wait, hang on. Putting a bunch of people in the same space without masks on. Making an announcement saying that they can't have masks. And then introducing, quote unquote, friends and family of talent into the same pool of people was a bad idea? Hold on, Marcus. That's a bad idea? All right, listen. I thought me wearing a meat suit when I went swimming in the Pacific Ocean was a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And we all knew it was a bad idea. We were talking about it. Bad idea. Bad idea. This is dumb. People are going to get sick. And everyone's like, no one's going to get sick. They're taking precautions. They're taking their temperature. Wait, you mean the disease that takes 3 to 7 days to incubate and present symptoms was beating a thermometer? Whoa.
Let's take us about his temperature. Okay, did you wake up this morning feeling COVID-ish?
On a scale from 1 to Kobe Bryant, how many COVIDs do you have? Like, what? How is this your test? If Shaquille O'Neal was 400 pounds in 1994, by which degree of the hypothesis of the COVIDs do you have? What?
And I know it's like, ink block test. What do you see when you see this? COVID. No, send him home.
Sir, this is an ink block test. Just say what you see. It says COVID. Send him home. They realize it's not an ink block test. It just says COVID on a card. Sir, what do you see? A violation of my American freedoms. You're allowed to come on in. Hang on. I have to cough up all this blood in my lungs. But don't worry. It's healthy lung blood.
Okay, sir. Last one. What does this look like to you? Oh, well, I think that rap looks like an independent contractor to me.
Oh, Lord. If I'm a WWE talent, I'm going, you have how much money invested in the company? Why do you want to know? Because I'm about to sue so hard. Like, it's one thing to be at an organization being like, listen, we might test, we might not test. I don't know. You can come to work or you don't come to work. Like, that's okay. But the WWE is not one of those companies that lets you not come to work. Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, and Kevin Owens have basically been buried because they're not on TV. They've been erased from history. So the idea that there's a option in this company? I don't believe it. And the idea that they're not testing talent, yeah, I believe that. And the fact that, like, yes, we are now taking precautions. Like, Dave Meltzer can't finish a sentence without restarting it 34 times. And even he got the point across that it's too fucking late to make sure this doesn't happen.
First of all, we knew this was a staunch possibility. And it's only, I mean, the AEW may very well be next. Obviously, they've done better at, I mean, hell, what I'm talking about, they outright done better because they're actually testing people. But still, you know, like you said, it takes a certain amount of time or what have you, and just because you didn't have it today don't mean you won't get it tomorrow. So this the whole concept of the arrogance of this company to think that they are so damn important, or as they put it, woven into the fabric of society, that they have to be on, that people can't survive without those dreadful 3-hour Raws or SmackDowns or whatever have you, that they are literally, like I heard somebody say Mia Yim found out that somebody actually tested positive in a performance center on a Twitch stream.
Yeah.
From a fan.
Yeah. They weren't even telling their talent that people were testing positive.
Like the way they set up, I don't even know if they tell all the people who tested positive that they actually got it.
And to say that they have had some shady practices medically is like saying our current political system's a little fucked up. That's the big dumb yeah. Obviously. But to sit here and think that they're not telling people who are testing positive but are asymptomatic, I'm not saying they're doing that or that they did that. But if you were to say, like, oh, yeah, like, fucking Adam Pearce was, like, asymptomatic and they didn't tell him until, like, 40 days later, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it.
He's pretty much on cue now. Yeah, I mean, look, freaking Renee Young, she was probably just in a complete funk. I mean, my freaking show got canceled. I got goddamn COVID. My man's away. I probably gave him COVID.
But then the man comes back, and now you might give him the COVID. So it's like, oh, geez, you can't even win with Renee.
She talks about having it. Freaking apparently, Kayla Braxton has had it now. Is a 2-time offender.
If she gets to the 3rd time in California, she's going to prison for life. That's just the rules, man.
Like, and these are people, she's been there. Like, Kayla has been there. Renee has been there. So it's like, you don't give a single F about any of your talent. But you claim to be looking out for your fans. And use your talent, looking out for your quote-unquote talent, as an excuse to pander to your fans who really... I don't get it, man. I don't see how some of these people, outside of like I said, the outright F ton of money that they probably getting, I don't see how they stay with this company. Like at this point, like Kevin Owens is basically punking the company anytime he's like, "Oh, I'm going back home." I dare you to tell me no. I dare you to tell me.
Yeah, Kevin Owens has found his balls. That's for sure. I think the interesting thing that's going to happen is apparently Pierce was working close with Vince McMahon, so now everyone's kind of all up in arms. So now that's why the testing has really kind of come into fruition because they want to make sure that Vince doesn't get sick. But I think the funny thing would be that like, if this is the thing that finally broke Vince McMahon, like how funny would that be if COVID was the thing? Like he gets it, maybe he doesn't recover, maybe he does recover, and then he's like either way that he turns over to the WWE and he's like, I'm gone, bitches. And, like, he fucking rides off in the sunset to hell because he's a terrible human being. And everyone's just looking at Kevin Dunn like, what? I didn't do anything with his fucking rat-ass face. And everyone's like, you're the one who told him not to wear masks, and now you drove Vince away.
Not because we don't wish death on anybody, at least on there. But,
we ain't going to publicly admit that we want some people to die. But we may feel it.
But oh man, you just made the list. No, but
the list of COVID.
Exactly. But I could very much see Vince on the ventilator tearing up the script of Raw 20 minutes before he goes there.
Rewrite it. Don't fuck with the COVID, and that's exactly what they're doing. We have an old saying up here in Ohio: you don't fuck Raw, right? WWE didn't know that apparently because they went full balls deep Raw, and now they got the itch.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
crazy. And
wear
the
a,
fact
you know,
that they
wear a mask, man.
people like Vince is there all the time, probably not taking safety precautions because he's basically, in his mind, thinks he's short of God at this point. And you got Ric Flair, who, and we talked about this before, there was a stint there for a number of years back to back where it felt like he almost died every year.
Yeah. I think we almost
Like-
lost Flair and DDP in the same year.
Yeah, and this is a man who's had a special relationship with alcohol, has survived the plane crash, apparently survived a lightning strike. And you
Survived
got him,
Terry Funk. That's a natural disaster in its own right.
Like it is a divorce testament is a testament for divorcees, however you want to paint that picture. And you got him there. Like I don't see, like they don't have a damn to give about it. Like it'll probably literally take Vince getting it for everybody to take it serious.
Flair has more alimony payments than most people have had jobs. What are you doing, Flair? So briefly, I want to touch on Chikara.
Yeah.
Word is going around that Chikara is Dunsky after 20 years. Now, the questions as to what actually happened are varying. Some people believe that Chikara was taken down by part of a kind of vendetta, while another group of people are like, no, these are real fucking stories. Shut the fuck up. I think Quackenbush, and now listen, ever since Chris Benoit murdered his family, I've been on the mindset of like half leg on, half leg off of any bandwagon I've ever rode. Oh, are you saying that maybe this person's a horrible human being? Well, then this is my stop. Toodles. So for me, I have no problem burying my fandom in that deep recess of my soul where my childhood used to be. Like I'll throw anything down that fucking hole. Don't tempt me. So when Quack and Chikara was accused of allegations of inappropriate conduct, I was like, all right, Quack, in the hole you go. Because I like Quack. I did like Quack. I don't know if I still like Quack. I don't know. Because there are conflicting reports now about Chikara and Chikara's involvement and all sorts of things. But I don't know if this has more to do with people wanting Chikara to be the squeaky clean place that it was presented to be, or if there's actually some nefarious kind of black flag operations going on here. Is that the right term? Black flag? White flag? Black flag? I think it's black flag. It means to run a counterintelligence operation to destroy the credibility of something else. I don't know if it's black flag or something else. I think it's like red flag or black flag, something like that. Anyway, so Quack was accused of being in an inappropriate relationship with a former trainee turned wrestler, cheating on his wife allegedly. I don't know if that's true at all. And kind of just, being the lead trainer at a time and saying some uncouth things. And most of it he copped to. He's like, yeah, I probably said it, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I was probably in an inappropriate relationship, and I'm sorry. But, like, all the major things, like, he's like, well, I didn't do the rest of it. Now, apparently there was another trainer there that was very aggressive and whatnot, and they're also being accused. Quack was alluded to being that guy, or is outright stated to be that guy in other, accusations. So I don't know which one is true. But basically it ended up with Quack saying, yeah, I'm just fucking done. Chikara's closing and, yeah, toodles. And I don't really know if there's ever going to be another Chikara. I don't mean a promotion like Chikara. I mean, like, Chikara's already once shut themselves down. I think it was like the summer of 2012. They closed up shop for the entire rest of the year, and came back on National Pro Wrestling Day in 2013, I think, or I may have gotten the years wrong. It may have been 2013 to 2014, but still. So they were out for 7-8 months, no work. They actually did something kind of ingenious. They started another company called Wrestling Is, and they did like little mini tours, and like the wrestling is companies where like wrestling is fun, wrestling is cool, wrestling is women, yada yada yada. So that they were able to supplement income that way. But I don't know if there's another Chikara coming. I don't know if there's another return to form for this group. More to the point, I don't know if the allegations against Quackenbush are true or not, and I don't know if he has any credibility anymore to, restart and refocus his career. And honestly, I'm kind of the mindset that if it's true, that if all these allegations are true, that Quack should follow the Dave Christ and Joey Ryan and David Starrs of the industry and just retire, fuck off, and get bent. But if Quack is on the more sympathetic side, if his mistakes are more reasonable than we've seen elsewhere, I don't know. Maybe give him another chance. But it's a thing. It's a thing, man. So many of the guys, Dasher Hatfield, Kimberly, Hollow Wicked, individuals that really helped make this a promotion worth watching, they're gone. So I don't know exactly where behavior of Mike Quackenbush, longtime indie veteran, described as using numerous misogynistic, racist, and homophobic remarks to students and wrestlers, among other details and allegations released online via the Speaking Out movement. The news hit hard for many fans. So Dasher Hatfield said, I've dedicated my entire wrestling career to Chikara. Once upon a time, we created magic. I truly believe that. At this point, I'm embarrassed. I feel let down. My heart is smashed. I'm extremely sorry for those hurt. I still believe wrestling has the power to cure. Man, I hope I'm right. And most of them kind of echo the same thing. Effective immediately, effective immediately, effective immediately. I don't know, what more allegations there are, and I don't know which ones are to be believed and not, but Chikara's gone, and truthfully, while that sucks, they do have some talent to pull from. Dasher Hatfield and Mark Angeles City are two of the guys that I've been very much a fan of. The Whisperer is also a great wrestler who's invented a great character that I think could get over on a national audience. So there's some talent there. Oh, Solo Darling, she's not just amazing, she's cute as a button. Like, hot damn. So there's some talent there still. So like, these wrestlers are I hope will find new homes. And if I'm Impact, I'm looking at Angeles City and Hatfield going as a tag team because they were great together. They have great chemistry. I put them as one of our match of the year contenders last year, Marcus. They had a ladder match in New Orleans that was really good. So we'll see. And then finally, Marcus, we have Major League Wrestling CEO Corp Bauer says that he will wait until we are sure it's safe to return. MLW citing that. Here's the quote. I will wait until we are sure it's safe for return. We're doing that for our fans, our athletes, and our crew, and all of their families. We do not want to put anyone at harm. We'll see what the NBA looks like once they go live with their season, and we're seeing what is happening with the WWE. This battle is far from the rare review mirror. Our decision to pursue will be dictated by science and experts in the medical world. Until we know it's safe, we're going to be as judicious as possible. They and Ring of Honor are arguably the two biggest promotions not yet to return in the States. I, for one, applaud Corp Bauer's decision, and if Impact had done the same thing, I would have been just as happy. In fact, I was kind of hoping they would. But, and here's the thing, like, MLW is still putting out content for their TV deals. Impact is owned by the same company that owns their TV deal. So it's like, why couldn't you have done the same thing? I'm glad, though. They're putting out new episodes of their show on YouTube still. It's all highlight footage, but they're recapping some of their best matches and highlighting some of their best talent, so it's effective. How do you feel about MLW still waiting to return? And in same comparison, Ring of Honor as well, because they've been waiting as well.
Man, you just got to play. It's better to be safe than sorry now. We said it when we talked about WWE and AEW, like it's you applaud the intent, but unless you're gonna do your due diligence, you just waiting. you basically creating a petri dish for a bunch of these people to get caught up, and now it looks like that's basically what's happened with WWE. Um, I gotta commend them, because they are essentially putting themselves in a very, I would imagine, difficult position financially. The way that this business works, you got to work when the work is there, and TV and whatnot, and fan attendance, and all that stuff with merch, all that stuff collectively works together.
Mm-hmm.
And when all that stuff starts fading away, you kind of get yourself in a bind. God bless them. I think Ring of Honor, we talked about Ring of Honor, New Japan, places like Impact have continued to pay their workers. But not every organization is. Indeed. Um, because stuff just fell through. So I commend them for it. Like I said, I think we damn near in the middle of seeing another. What I'm talking about, we are in the middle of another spike. Everything's going up.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants a freaking mask. At this point they're over COVID. I'm over the pandemic. Like that's how arrogant we seem to be. Like, I'm over this pandemic. Or come what come may, I don't have it. And if I do got it, it ain't killing me, so it is what it is. I will not have my right to have my mouth out infringed upon. So yeah, it's like I said, you gotta commend them, because they, a lot of places working at a deficit right now, but they looking out for people, because this, if you have your rosters either on the brink, or, and sick or on their deathbed, you're not gonna have nobody to work no way. So
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how MLW and Ring of Honor continues on, when they come back, how they come back. In Ring of Honor's case, if they come back, because they still have to deal with the Marty Scurll situation, as well as the fact that Kelly Klein feels like a fucking decade ago, accused them of sending her basically out to work with a concussion and misdiagnosing her on purpose, or at least I think that's what she claimed. There are some issues with concussions in her. She still isn't cleared to wrestle, to the best of my knowledge. And she's gone from the company as well. So, if you're Impact and you're looking for, talent, if Kelly Klein can wrestle ever again, there's your fucking pickup. And now you got the Maria Manic and Teddy Hart stuff, and she's part of Ring of Honor, and, the Briscoes are always a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. So it's just like, at a certain point, you're just kind of, what the fuck's left for Ring of Honor? I don't know. Caprice Coleman's pretty great. I like Caprice. He's cool.
yeah, I love Caprice.
Good dude. Good man. It's just celebrated his wedding anniversary. Congratulations to Caprice Coleman. I think it's like 17 years he's been with his wife.
Yeah, beautiful family. I saw that pic. Beautiful family.
By the by, speaking of big news, Cam Newton's going to the New England Patriots. You see this?
Yeah, man, everything's flipping. I don't know exactly how that's going to go, but I mean, you feel like everything changed once Tom Brady left, so that everything's on the table at this point. Yeah, though it'll be unique if he get the pass back to the bowl and pay not Peyton Manning.
Brady's there.
Brady doesn't get to the playoffs.
Can I just ask a question though? What the fuck's on Cam's head? He looks like who's it? Marlon Wayans and Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood.
I'm both happy and pissed that you asked that, because I've not seen him for months.
Have you not seen his hair?
I've not seen any of Cam for months, and now I'm feel like I'm being taken over by some type of laptop spirit to Google Cam Newton 2020. What? Okay. All right. He's in transition. Not to woman or anything, but he's got the Coolio thing going on. What is that?
No, I'm about to show you. You've never seen Don't Be a Menace, have you?
You with Marlon Wayans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hair. Yeah.
I'm sending it to you.
Put that outfit energy in hair.
That's Cam Newton the day he signs with the Patriots. Oh, what is that hair? What is that hair? Oh, what what is that here? I don't even know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Cam can do with the Patriots, truthfully.
Yeah.
I don't know if his shoulder's any good. You know, that's the thing I'm worried about, because, like, that year he actually threw over 60%. His shoulder, like, he couldn't throw deep. Like, he was fucking done. So, like, all he could do is, like, fucking slant routes. So, like, if he can actually throw deep again, if he can take shots to that shoulder again, I don't know. Maybe the Patriots aren't going to tank for Trevor Lawrence. We'll see. It'll be interesting. All right, my friend. I think we're good. I think we've done enough. I think we've earned ourselves a reprieve for the rest of the night. Go to realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NerdCorp, on Instagram at RealNerdCorp, RealNerdCorp. We're also on twitch.tv/WrestlingUnderground, twitch.tv/ComicGameCorp. We're also on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. On Podbean, we are realnerdcorp.podbean.com. I think that's right. On iTunes, no, yeah, that's right. On iTunes and Spotify, we're NerdCorp, NerdCorp. And Marcus, your personals are on Twitter, ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
You know that's me.
He's also on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, on Twitter at True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. You can find me on Twitter at Chad NerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and I'm also on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. Should be buying a new phone in the next month or two, so I'll actually be able to start uploading again to Instagram. That'll be fun. Excuse me. So for all that, we're done. For Marcus Green, I'm Chad Portal. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us the chance. Remember to watch more wrestling. And as always, Marcus, take us home.
Good night, meat.